Hello, my friends. Hello, my life warriors, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the Day In, Day Out podcast. Woo! Today on episode 184, I'm very privileged and lucky to have Teresa Xu on the podcast. Yes, let's say she is a author. Like a budding author. Her book is called The Beginning to the End. Teresa, how are you and what is your book about?
Hi, Muiwa. It's great to talk to you. Very privileged to be on this show. Uh, Actually, yeah, it's already been going through some changes and has now been renamed as Beyond the Surface.
Oh, I see. What brought on the sort of name change?
I think the beginning to the end was kind of an early kind of draft of sorts when I was still, when I had like the chapters, but they weren't like finalized yet. And then I thought more about it and realized like Beyond the Surface was kind of aligned more with the themes I was going for.
Right. And with regards to Beyond the Surface, what does it sort of deep dive into?
The book overall.
Yeah. The book overall, like we're here about your book right now. Yeah, the book overall. Go for it, gal. Come on.
Yeah, that's great. I think overall it dives into essentially what the subtitle is, which is empathy, identity, and storytelling. So yeah, I guess it deep dives into all of those concepts. Like it started with just thinking about how like empathy is important, how listening to each other can really make a difference, and like trying to imagine ourselves in others' shoes, and then how that kind of relates to identity and like kind of managing and including different identities, how like listening can be a bridge for that. And then storytelling kind of is like the latter half of the book, and it really gets into how like storytelling can be a way to express identity and also kind of promote empathy through stories. Yeah.
Right. I see. So what sort of like basically kicked you off with like this, like, look, like what can I say? You're a fresh face, young lady in like still in university, but what made you say, you know what, I need a book about this, you know?
Right. That's a great question. I guess I'd always been interested in books and reading. So
Mm,
that was kind of a long time love of mine. And I guess I always did think, oh, it would be cool to like write one day. So that was like always in the back of my mind from just like reading and being inspired by different books and authors.
mm-hmm.
But I guess at this point, it was like in the middle of the COVID-19 pandemic. And I guess I had a bit more like, I don't know, I had done like more reflecting and had a bit more headspace in some ways because I was kind of mainly staying at home. And then I think I just heard more about like different like I'd heard more about like different other like authors, and I realized that it didn't have to be the most formal thing in the world, which I
Mm-hmm.
had always been afraid of in terms of publishing a book or creating anything, like the fear of, oh, it needs to be totally perfect and like approved by, I don't know, all these like high up people. And I realized like, oh, I could be like an indie author instead, like just kind of publish, like write what I wanted to and like publish it out into the world. And then yeah, I guess that got me thinking about some topics, the three subtitle, like the subtitle that I just mentioned, like empathy and how I'd always been interested in that. And like storytelling, like got me interested in just like writing about something I was passionate about.
Mm.
And so yeah, I guess that's where it took off.
Right. Like it must be one of those things, like when you say empathy, identity, storytelling, like it seems like these are sort of simple concepts for people to grasp. But like with regards to putting in a book, like to sort of empathize with people, how, like, what were some of the sort of challenges you may have picked up on, like coming up with, well, basically going with the book? Because like empathy, it's one thing to say, but it's one thing to feel and do, if you get what I mean.
Right, definitely. And I think that is a challenge. I was kind of wondering at first how I should approach these topics, if it should be kind of more of an analytical, maybe research or scholarly like
Mm,
take on empathy. And then I think I did try to do more research on like people or like I guess, yeah, who had maybe talked about the issue. But I think what ended up happening is that I realized I kept just commenting and like bringing my own thoughts into it. And I decided to make it into like a memoir instead. And then later draw more on my own life and tell like stories from there to kind of illustrate like what I personally think is empathy and like what that means to me. And so ultimately it ended up being like, oh, I'm not really an expert on anything other than myself. So I decided to just share like, yeah, to really frame it around, oh, these are like my thoughts. And I just want everyone to kind of think about these topics some more and consider this. And yeah, so it's kind of just a memoir and a presentation of what I think about empathy.
A memoir. It's like when I go, oh, a memoir. It's like, okay, no, this is this is gonna seem like it's the first volume of maybe a 10, 20, 30, 40 set.
Oh, I don't know.
I was like, look, long life to you, I say, long life. Like with regards to like how the sort of last year and a half, say, would you say that kind of like influenced your sort of views on empathy with how things went down? Well, how things are going down, let's just say, you know?
Right. Yeah. I that actually did. That was, I think, part of why in the pandemic I was also thinking about these. I think I was thinking about these topics more because I think there was a lot of just misunderstanding and like just kind of, yeah, problems and like lots of heated emotions out in the world, which I thought was understandable. But I did think, I don't know, sometimes I'd just be like, oh, what would happen if people kind of try to listen to the other side or other sides like a little more and, try to step out of themselves for a moment to really see, eye to like a bit eye to eye. Because
Mm,
I think empathy doesn't mean like agreeing on everything, but I think it is like a bridge, like to at least help us understand one another's perspectives. And yeah, so I thought, wouldn't that be like something that could potentially be healing in this really troubled time anyway? And I
yeah.
think, yeah, that was a big inspiration.
Okay. Like, yeah. Uh, Very interesting. Like with this, like and like the sort of empathy, which is sometimes surely lacking. It was like when it all kicked off, it seemed like, yes, we're empathizing, sympathizing, we're all in it together. Now, how can I say, there is, if you're not wearing a mask or if like you're anti-mask and whatnot, it's kicking off. Like, I don't know if you've like kind of experienced anything personally like that yourself with regards to like, yeah, and how you've tried to sort of like empathize with like the other party or anything like that.
Hmm. Okay, like when a scenario, maybe a situation where I've had to try to do that.
Yeah.
It's a great question. I feel like there probably are plenty, but there's not like a specific one coming to mind. I guess I always do try to be empathetic in my approach, and I'm not really like I wouldn't call myself like a fierce debater. If someone like shares an opinion, I'm not really going to be the first to, oh, like if I disagree, to share that out,
Hmm.
even though, I'll have my thoughts probably, but yeah, I would try. I think I probably would, I don't know, try to, try to see where they're coming from. And yeah, that can be challenging. But I think every time I do get to hear a bit about like why someone feels the way they do, I think that is really beneficial for me. And yeah, it can kind of help me see more clearly. So I'm not just like, oh my gosh, what are they thinking? Kind of, oh, that divide between us kind of thing. I
Mm.
think that definitely does help. In any situation. But yeah, so I guess just, I don't know, trying to search for more and like asking like why is, I feel like, a good approach.
Mm. I see, I see. So with now one of the things, and especially in your part of the world, like the realm of identity. Now that is a sort of thing, that is a subject matter which can be quite contentious, depending what type, like what sort of area you're looking in the realms of identity. Like, how did you were you just tackling your own individual identity, or were you kind of looking at other groups and having conversations with people to sort of like figure out what identity meant to them, you know?
Mhm. Right. I think I ended up trying to focus, yeah, kind of on my identity, and just I tried to center it around that because again, that's really the only thing I can be an authority on, and I don't want to like speak for other people or like what they think
Mm,
identity means. So I did try to like, I did talk about my own identity in from like different dimensions, I would say. But I think I also just in some ways might have like implicitly commented on how others might feel because just based on my own experiences with hearing about others and like learning about different topics. I think that was, and I think this is like, I mean, I call it a memoir, but it's kind of interesting because some of the chapters in the book are definitely more memoir and firmly rooted in like a story from my life that I kind of had this kind of maybe experience personally. And then others are a bit more, I wouldn't say like research based or like analytical, but a bit more from like another point of view, maybe about someone else's story and then like my thoughts on how that's important or relates. Or yeah, maybe even like about me commenting on like a movie and like bringing in my thoughts around these based on like, oh, I heard about this at this point. This is how I think actually a lot of my like classes throughout my life have been an inspiration
mm-hmm.
for this book as well. So I kept drawing on, oh, like I learned about this and then like this really like resonated with me. So I want to share it with the world as well, kind of thing.
Right. So, like with this, like, okay, when most people write a book, especially if it has anything, well, on the, especially when it's along the lines of a memoir and stuff like this, it gives people who are doing this, authors, I say, which you are one now. Congratulations, by the way.
Thank you.
Yeah, no worries. It gives them this sort of real sort of look at themselves. What did you like? Was there any sort of things you discovered, like, or surprised you, how you might see yourself and how basically how you identify yourself in this grand world of ours?
Mm-hmm. Right. I think it definitely was like a journey. And I guess I didn't imagine that I would, but yeah, I guess in writing and thinking about myself, I think I did definitely reflect more. I will say one thing that I wrote about that I didn't realize quite as much before was just like the concept of like social identities. And it's
Mm,
kind of referring to, for example, gender or like ethnicity slash race. Like, I feel like for me, when I grew up, I was kind of like I was mainly surrounded by, I guess, fellow Asian Americans, is what I would now call myself, and didn't, I guess, think about that as much in my day to day. And so I think coming to like university and learning about this more, I think that was something that like opened my eyes to kind of seeing beyond just me as an individual and just, oh, my actions are my actions kind of thing, to realizing like, yeah, like where I'm from and like just kind of where my family's from, or just kind of these other like factors, like, yeah, even my gender identity, like all like reflects my identity as well and like has shaped the way I think about things. Like these are all part of my experiences that
mm.
I just didn't frame it that way before. So that's only one thing. Like even for like Asian American, like I wouldn't say I had actually thought about, I don't think I really heard about that or thought about it like that before, just because I wasn't thinking about my own identity as much. And then yeah, also just, and I mentioned this in the book too, like in the literature that I read, it often wasn't really talking about these topics, and I didn't really see myself reflected as much. And so yeah, I guess that train of thought didn't spark for me until actively writing about these different identities now and seeing, yeah, there's like different ways you can approach identity, and now here other ways to think about mine.
Yeah, like the only reason why I bring this up is because like many moons ago when I was in university, many,
Mhm.
many moons ago, but like, yeah, it's like one of those things like, okay, the world was one way and like it was a case of, okay, identity, like wasn't like identity where you fit in society and like sort of general attitude was like it was different. Like there was a case of it was there, but it wasn't sort of like so talked about in like as it is today. And it in some regards how like it's become so sort of important in many a way. Did you find when you got to university, like coming from like Asian American background, and then all of a sudden being thrusted into this community, which I imagine for a university must be quite diverse. What was that like for you?
Yeah, I think it definitely was something that was incredibly eye-opening for me. I think I took on like various new identities that I again didn't really think of. I think throughout my life, I had mainly probably I would just identify myself as a student. That was like my occupation of sorts.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that definitely did occupy a lot of my life, as I'm sure like many students would feel the same. And then, yeah, I didn't really think, I mean, I knew, yeah, I identified as a girl, but I didn't, again, think about that a ton. But then coming to university, I actually like one identity I adopted was like an international student, like legally, which is still interesting because I'm from Canada and then the university is in the US. So that like transition was also just kind of different in various ways. And now, like, I never really thought of myself as like kind of, oh, like on, I don't, well, I guess in some ways I did, but not really as much as I did like at this point, like coming to the US, like feel like kind of an outsider or just not, not exactly like a citizen or like knowing maybe all the kind of just all the cultural aspects and legal aspects as well. So yeah, that did open my eyes too. Like now I'm part of like this other like minority group on campus because international students aren't the majority, like population wise.
Mm.
And then yeah, I get again, I think kind of Asian American, that part, since again, I had grown up with a lot of fellow Asian Americans, so it just didn't seem that like jarring or anything like that to me. And I mean, it's still not jarring to me, but I did become more conscious of it when I realized that there were a lot fewer of those people. And then, yeah, so I kind of realized like, oh, I am like the only person in this class who is Asian American and such like that, which again is not something that, I mean, it did surprise me, but it wasn't like, I guess, totally like unimaginable for sure. But yeah, but it did like kind of open my eyes a little more to, oh, I'm also like part of this, could be part of this narrative of not of, yeah, kind of feeling sometimes like on the outside or like a minority.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be kind of strange, basically coming from Canada into the US, because, like, okay, like Canada and the US are very much, they are very much alike, but very much different. It's one of those like weird cliches, if you get what I mean. Like Americans go, like, you guys are too nice. Why are you so nice? And like Canadians are like, oh, well, you know what? Best be nice. It's the easiest way to go. But like, yeah, politics totally different, everything like that. But being in America now, why did you decide to go across the border and like study in the United States rather than in Canada? Because standard of education is very high over in Canada as well as in America. Why did you do the change?
Right, that's true. And definitely, yeah, I don't think, yeah, I still like there's no like comparison for me. Like I don't really compare the systems that much, I would say, because yeah, I think education is great in both countries. And also, I think I want to just agree with you that, yeah, it's kind of interesting to me because I am like kind of legally and like, I guess, geographically international because, yeah, Canada is like farther away from like where I would be in the US.
Mm.
And I think, yeah, it definitely is just kind of different legally, but, and yeah, politically, like you mentioned. But then, yeah, like even among international students, I'm kind of the least distant from the US, I would say, because we're also just like kind of neighbors. And yeah, a lot of the culture and like language and everything is like very similar, which definitely makes it easier for me, I would say, than like many people who come from different countries, which, maybe speak different languages or have different customs or are just far like 30-hour flights away. Like, I
Yeah.
think, yeah. So I think I'm definitely lucky in that sense and not to have a kind of a smoother transition in that sense. But yeah, I'd say like, I think one was just, I kind of applied to the US as like an opportunity because I guess at the time my family thought like, oh, there are some great schools here as well. So I thought, okay, I guess I can just try and see like what happens there too. Because I guess I had never been, yeah, I had never like lived outside Canada and I thought it could be cool to live somewhere else. And actually, yeah, that is a bit that I have found that in my experience. I really enjoyed and like learned from the experience of living in this new place. Like even like what I just mentioned about the experience of being a minority, and also in that weird position of like kind of similar to everyone else in terms of like not coming from that far, but also different. And yeah, it's just seeing like diversity in different forms has, I think, been really eye-opening for me and a great experience that I don't think I probably wouldn't have had if I had just stayed like in my hometown locally for university. I think I do really appreciate kind of learning more in that sense and like kind of expanding my horizons in that way. So I would say like that was a big motivation, just kind of the experience of like living in a different country.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, and also the school that I chose, I think had great like programs that were in my like suited to my interests, I guess, in the humanities and social sciences.
Mm. Interesting, interesting. I'm trying to work out, Teresa, like what type of person you are, because like this is the thing, okay, there is something bold and adventurous about you, but I'm not too sure like you're the adventurer yet. I feel like that might be coming on the horizon for you, because look, going like okay, doing making a book, creating a book while you're like, yeah, I'm a little bit bored, locked down. You could have just like stayed in, watched Tiger King, just caught up with your studies and left it at that. But you went, no, you know what? I'm going to write a book. As I write. And when you went to study, it's like, I could stay in Canada, like nice, simple, easy. But no, you've gone across the border to the United States. It just feels like everything is like you're taking a step. You're taking these steps forward, and I'm not too sure where yet. I'm very excited to see where that might be. Like,
I'm
yeah,
not sure where either.
okay. But do you understand what I'm saying, though?
So yeah, I guess that's also something I kind of, I don't know, started to realize about myself in university that I don't know, I guess, yeah, in some ways, maybe I am more motivated or wanting to like learn more than I imagine. I guess I did think in high school, like I was somebody who was interested in just gaining experiences and like,
Mm-hmm.
I guess, living experiences. So I guess an adventure could be cool, or like if some opportunity came up, I think I always thought there was intrinsic value in doing it, even if it did take time and effort, just for like what I could learn from that, even if like sometimes what I learn isn't like something I realize right away. I suppose I always do think, oh, there's something to be learned from every experience. So
Yeah.
I guess I do think I'm really motivated by that. And maybe that is just learning in general. But yeah, I guess that's something that's motivating me. But you're right. I don't know exactly. I wouldn't call myself like adventurous or like constantly on the edge of like, yeah, constantly on the edge of something either. I do also enjoy like you said, just kind of chilling and like staying indoors and not worrying about things for sure.
Mm.
And so yeah, I don't think I know exactly where I'm going, and that's something I still am figuring out myself. um, Plus I do think I'm kind of an indecisive person because I do weigh like, I don't know, just pros and cons of things, at least for like these big, oh, what am I going to do for my life?
Mm.
But yeah, I think, yeah, I guess I'm excited too now after kind of this doing this thing that I never would have imagined before. But yeah.
But like this is the thing, like you say you're indecisive, like weighing up your pros and cons. Look, yes, you have to weigh up pros and cons to make a decision. But like the whole thing is, yeah, you weighed up a pro and con of like making a book. Okay, like creating a book, making a book, creating a book, and you went ahead with that. You weighed up the pros and cons of going to university, and yeah, you went like through that. So like what would you say, like what sort of thing would you say makes you indecisive? Because it doesn't seem you're indecisive. You seem to be making clear decisions in where you want to go in life and in general, you know?
Hmm. I don't. I mean, thank you for thank you for that. I guess assurance. I guess. I'm trying to think through that as well, but I don't know. I just have noticed that throughout my life, like even in like just simple choices, like which ice cream flavor am I going to get today? Like, yeah, I'm like, I don't know. I will like deliberate a little or be a bit unsure for a lot of those things. Maybe I am just like thinking a bit too much about, oh, maybe I could have this, but then, oh, what about that? I guess maybe that's what it is. It's like, I don't know if you've read like The Bell Jar by Sylvia Plath or
I've heard of it. I have
yeah.
not read it. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. It's been a while since I've read it, but I think I saw something recently about there was like a fig tree analogy in that book where like the protagonist was also kind of like it was like different, I think different leaves with different options of paths that she could choose like as well. Of like,
Mm.
oh, if I did this, like maybe this could happen. I'm imagining my life that way. Or if I did that, like, and just kind of that indecision, I feel like a lot of students and just people in general can probably resonate with just, oh yeah, it seems like there's so many different options of things I could do, but what's gonna be the one?
Well, yeah. No, put it this way. Like, here's the dirty little secret no one actually says. Like, yeah, indecision runs through like people's lives, like from their teens all the way up until they like pass off this mortal coil, like hopefully old gray and like somewhere in their like in their sort of centennial ages. Like the case of like making the choice, making the decision, and not sort of dwelling on the other options. I think that is part of the key to sort of like be at peace with what you do going forward, because there are too many people which they go, I should have picked that, and they dwell on it, dwell on it, dwell on it, and they might have a fantastic opportunity right there before them, and they get caught up with that decision and that decision, dwell in it, and that present moment is gone. Yeah.
That's really great advice. Thank you for sharing that nugget of wisdom. Because yeah, you're right. I can now imagine like, yeah, maybe someone is in, I don't know, yeah, they keep dwelling on, oh, should I have chosen this job so much that they kind of don't even perform what they're currently doing well. And yeah, they could probably learn a lot from that. But yeah, I guess you're right. If we think too much, we're not really doing or like kind of doing our actions out in the world. And then yeah, we're not really benefiting from that.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. Like this is the thing. With regards to what you're doing right now with your book, like being an indie publisher, is this a case of right? This is the first book of many, or is this a case of this is like it's a one-off project to see this is what can I do a book and what can I learn from that, and then move on to the next thing? What would you say it is? Do you know?
That's a great point. I think I am kind of leaning towards the second. Like when I started writing it, I wasn't thinking, oh, I'm going to be a full-time author, or like I wasn't really expecting anything in particular from it. I think it was just born out of like, yeah, I think maybe I can do this after all, partly, but also because I wanted to just get my own thoughts out there, like organize them from my head of like, oh my gosh, what would happen if there was just more empathy, and then
Mm.
like what does that mean for identity? So or just some topics that I was more interested in because I had just been thinking about, oh wow, I didn't realize this before, but now I kind of am learning more, and I want to like, yeah, I guess like these have been like circling in my head, and I kind of wanted to get them out on paper in some form and just, yeah, hope that maybe someone could learn from my journey. Doesn't, I guess, yeah, I think that's kind of what I was hoping for. And like you said, in like a really troubled time anyway, like maybe it can even provide a bit of healing or comfort. And yeah, I think that's what I was mainly hoping for. It was going to be like a project, a passion project to see what this can become. But as for like more in the future, I don't know if I have any like other ideas. I don't think I have any other ideas at the moment. And I have to note that I think for me, writing is something that really requires some idea and like some kind of fuel or like motivation. Otherwise, like if I'm really or just, yeah, kind of like a burst of inspiration multiple bursts of inspiration, I would say was what created this book. Otherwise, like if I'm not inspired, I think it'll just be writer's block, and I'll be like, oh no, like I'm so tired, I can't do anything, can't think anymore. So I guess, yeah, I'm trying to think like, I don't know, if I don't have any other ideas at the moment, there's probably not going to be something else. But yeah, I mean, I don't know, I guess I can't really predict the future. I'm gonna guess we'll see what happens. But no, I guess right now I'm not like planning for anything.
Okay, okay. Now, with regards to the sort of third element of the book, the storytelling side of things, like,
Mhm.
okay, now storytelling, it's, how can I say, it's one of the most powerful things in this world that we encounter. If you think about all of this, like all of the things like being cautious, like being wary, like motivation, and basically like stories of woe. Well, tales of woe. It all, like the most powerful times it comes in the package of a story. Now, what like was there like sort of stories you encountered which you drew from, or was it just a case of you looked at your life like and went, okay, it was purely that there wasn't sort of an outside influence of other stories you may have seen along the way?
Right. I think it definitely was kind of both. Like there definitely were some other stories that I told and kind of drew from like different speeches and TED Talks, quite a few.
Mm,
But I think I also tried to explore storytelling kind of, well, okay, let's say like one part I explored storytelling from a kind of meta sense of like actual like forms of storytelling. Like there's a chapter on like music and my reflection on how that can move people, but also be a form of self-expression. That there's a lot on like me. I think writing in general is just a great form of storytelling.
mm,
So there's definitely like kind of part like some aspects of writing that I touched on as well. So I think that was part of it, like exploring like, yeah, how do you tell stories, or like what does that kind of mean? But also like I also talked about a story exchange from my life. And this is something interesting. Like this is kind of something that's done with Narrative 4, like an organization that does these story exchanges to help promote empathy. And that was kind of a retelling of what exchanging a story, and that's like pure like oral like telling, kind of like what we're doing here, like just telling a story from my life kind of thing, and then exchanging that and kind of sharing those with another person. And yeah, so I think that's like another form. But I would say like just probably throughout all of them, even like the chapters that are more about like identity than like storytelling specifically, because
mm,
like I mentioned, there's one about like just music, and that's like very storytelling. I think even in all of those, like stories were still like part of that. Like there's one chapter about Brandon Stanton, like the founder of Humans of New York. And so that's like a story, like someone else's story that I tell, but what he does like on this platform, like on like social media with all these photos, like that's also a form of storytelling. So I
mm.
feel like, I guess, yeah, all of these are really related to each other. And I started to realize that throughout that, oh yeah, like these are super related anyway. I don't even know how to explain it.
Ah, ah, indeed, indeed. So with like with some of your stories, like have like I imagine like I'm kind of always curious about any story where like yeah, someone has like faced a challenge or adversity and like yeah, what they've done to sort of overcome that sort of challenge like or adversity and like where it's taken them like forward from there. Like would you say you've had many sort of challenges or adversities along the way?
uh, in writing this book, do you mean?
Yeah.
Or
Well, in
just
writing this book, or like basically like some of the stories which you say it's part memoir, I would imagine like yeah, like stories you've written and the story like the book you've written, but the stories which relate to this book, which I know which must be very personal. Has there been any sort of like personal sort of stories where like you've had to face a challenge, not just in the book, but yeah, you as an individual?
Right. I think, yeah, one of the main, I guess, chapters, and it's the one where that story exchange is as well, is
Mm,
about like a challenge I faced in my life that I kind of like. It was about like just kind of actually, yeah, it was about like university and just kind of struggling in my first semester with like mental health and
mhm.
like kind of finding my place there as well, which now that I think about it, I guess also could relate to identity, but I wasn't thinking about it like again consciously at that point. And I guess that was something I would say like mostly like overcame, at least like the kind of specific feelings I had at that time, I think I did overcome, and it was a challenge. But I will say for mental health in general, I think that's a process and something it's like all something we kind of try to, manage, strengthen like every day. So I wouldn't say, yeah, so that's like still something I and like everyone kind of works on. And then I'm trying to think like other stories about, I don't think they were like the specific challenge, like the arc that you were describing of like, oh, there's a specific challenge I faced and this is like how I overcame it. I guess a lot of these are just, and I guess that's something I realized too, like there's no singular like structure or anything like for stories and how they're told or like what it's about. Like, for example, the other story in the story exchange that I described, like I told my story about like mental health, but then the other story was, I mean, it was a challenge, but it wasn't necessarily like like a specific overcoming, or it was kind of more just a story. Like this is something that happened in my life kind of thing. And yeah, I was like, okay, yeah, that's also like a meaningful story. Plus like just, yeah, lots of like thoughts from, I don't know, or just a lot of them were like realizations, I would say. But yeah, I guess it wasn't a specific arc that was followed. And that's actually one of the themes that I try to get across is like, there's no, I mean, I don't know if you've heard of the TED Talk, like The Danger of a Single Story by Chimamanda Adichie.
No,
But
I have not. No.
I think, yeah, I would recommend it because it like when I watched it, it really like moved me. And that was like, I guess, an inspiration for this book as well. I kind of talk about it in one of my chapters as, again, like something that had inspired me in my life and something I hoped like more people could also kind of, I guess, yeah, hear about and learn from. And I think for that, like the message is like, there's no like single story of like who someone is. And that's something I think is, yeah, true in many aspects. Like, yeah, there's no single way to imagine what a story looks like, or again, like what books might be about. There's no like single like way to occupy like a social identity. Like, there's no single way to be Asian American. All of our lives are like very different and individual. And yeah, there's no one way to write a book. Even like my book journey is going to be different from another author's. So I think that's just something that almost, when after watching that TED Talk, almost seemed like obvious to me, or like was like, oh yeah, like of course that's true. But then I don't know, like framing it in that sense, I think helps me like keep it in the back of my mind. And when there are cases of like, I don't know, differing opinions, that kind of reminds me, yeah, I mean, there's of course going to be different opinions because we are all like, individually different people. So I think, yeah, that's an important kind of theme to keep in mind.
Yeah, I'm very curious. Like, okay, now there are many sort of mediums you can put things out in the world today. Now, okay, look, you are of the age of the digital age and all of what comes with that. Now, I am kind of surprised that you didn't sort of like go down either the lines of like, well, blogging if we're being a little bit like
Right.
retro, but or sort of YouTube, something which would be a little bit more sort of like film based. Why
Hmm.
did you choose the medium of a book, which like some people would say is quite old hat, if you get what I mean?
Right. Yeah, I mean that's fair, I guess. I mean, I don't know. I don't think books are going to, well, I'm trying to think. I know like, the age of the internet has,
Mm.
we've changed a lot of the way we work. I mean, my book was not handwritten, but actually like typed up. So that's already a big change from like 100 years ago or 50 years ago. So I don't know, these things are always
50
changing.
years ago. Come
Yeah.
on, yeah, like the world's like it's been it's like like 50 years ago. Yes, they handwritten it all out in 50, maybe a little bit. Let's go back about 150, 200 years ago before the typewriter was around. But yeah.
Right. I don't know. I was like, but yeah, so yeah, there's clearly a lot I still need to learn. But yeah, I think yeah, I guess I don't think personally that books are going anywhere. I think they're still like read enough that I don't know. I mean, yeah, like I don't think you like I don't know, books are just still out there. I don't think YouTube is going to replace that, but probably just be like supplementing them.
Mm,
But I guess for me personally, I think it kind of goes back to what I was saying about always being like interested in reading and writing when I was younger and like still now. I guess I'd always been more inclined with like to, yeah, inclined to read rather than do math or something else. And I think, yeah, I still would say like reading is a main hobby of mine. I would just say that with the university and like just classes in general, I've had like less time and like energy to kind of read for like leisure, but I still, read for classes. So I think, yeah, it comes from just, yeah, a love of reading and writing and still like constantly writing for like my courses, my coursework. Yeah, I think, yeah, I still do a lot of writing for that. So it's kind of like the first thing that would come to mind for me. And like, just, yeah, I think it really would be like my first instinct of, okay, if I'm going to share something, it's going to be in writing because I'm just always used to writing. And like my thoughts are kind of, I don't know, I think, yeah, my thoughts are even like kind of like writing, or just, I always thought about them, oh, they're words. So, easiest way to get them out is just on the page, writing my thoughts down like a journal in a way. And I would say, yeah, my book is kind of like a journal, or a bunch of journal entries of sorts. And so I think that's why, but I think I did comment on YouTube a bit as well, actually, like how that's a form of storytelling now. People can like, share their thoughts, their identity, and like amplify different voices through social media and, yeah, videos. Like that's a valid way as well. It's personally not something I've really thought about or like been interested in, like filming myself, like standing in front of a camera. And like, I guess that's, again, not as inclined to do that as I am to just pick up a pen and like, or like type up and just write. But yeah, I think, that is, you're right, that is a good way to do things. I just am not, I don't think I would, and I can't really imagine myself becoming a YouTuber. So yeah.
No, it's just always, I'm always curious because like, okay, with the amount of options which are out there,
Right.
like, yeah. Like basically when it comes to sort of like the written word is a powerful thing indeed. It has moved nations, it's like motivated people. And yes, it's caused huge change in the world. And yes, I don't believe books are going anywhere soon. Like I think, yes, books will be around like 20 years from now, 40 years from now, 100 years from now, books will still be around. But I just look at the sort of new formats and new sort of like platforms which are out there because, yeah, there are like so many people are trying to get their word out, get their stories out. And yeah, I just was like, okay, I was curious, like, why did you choose just like on the book side of things? But yeah, it's good. It's good. But yeah, with this now, well, like like you made me chuckle when like you went, yeah, like 150 years ago. That did make me chuckle. It's like, yeah, that's like, it's like, okay. It's like you see the world through a very different lens than I, but it's still, it's like, yeah, old, okay. It's like, yeah. Yeah, but now I'm curious, like if you could, like if you went back 5 years in your life and you could meet yourself and you told them, like, would you believe if you went to your like 5 year younger self and went, I wrote a book? Would you believe that? Would it shock you? Would it like, what would it do to your mind? Like, first of all, time travel, pow. After
Right.
that, yeah.
Right. Yeah, I definitely would not believe it. I would be like, yeah, I think even a year ago or like before like writing that book, even, yeah, just like before the I would be like, what? Like that's that's ridiculous. What are you saying? I guess, yeah, I think 5 years ago. Wow. Yeah, definitely I would still be in like high school and like trying to figure things out as well back then, I think. But yeah, I would definitely be like pretty doubtful. Although I'd like to think that I would be like maybe inspired, but I don't really know. I don't think I would at that point have just been like, oh, okay, now I'm gonna write another book too. Like probably not. I'm not sure I was in like the state of mind for that at that point. And plus, like a lot of the kind of lessons I had learned that I write in the book, I did not know at that point. I think it was definitely more recent. And definitely a lot of it did come with, like I said, going to university and like a big change in my life. So yeah, probably at that point I would have thought, oh, plus I didn't know that memoir. I don't think I recognize that memoirs or like writing about yourself is like a, also like a valid form of self-expression or like a valid genre. I think at that point I only knew like fiction or like flat out like textbook nonfiction, and I wouldn't have. Yeah, I think at that point, like that 5 year ago me would have been like, oh, like you came up with a novel idea, or like they probably would have been like, oh, it must have been like a novel,
Mm.
but nope. Yeah, I realized in university that there's like personal writing. So yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I would be like I'm deeply curious about the book currently, but I would like one of the things I would like love to see, like, and this will have to be sort of like an investment of time, like to see where like who you are in either 5 to 7 or 10 years. Like you can pick a like period of time and like sort of like go, right, does it still like do the things you hold true in the book today, will they hold true in well, if you choose 5 years, if you choose 7 years, or if you choose 10, do they still hold true? Like, and like, yeah, what would your sort of perspective be? It'll be an interesting thing to see that sort of time capsule play out, you know?
Yeah, definitely. That really would be like, I can't imagine. I guess, yeah, since so much already changed in like that 5 years that you just mentioned, like, oh, now I've written a book and my 5 years ago self would never have believed that. I think, yeah, like, wow, there's no telling how much could change then. Yeah, you're right. Like, maybe I'll wonder, like, if the book really still applies, then I'm hoping that it will. I mean, I feel like these concepts don't go away, and like yeah, definitely, like you said, storytelling is always going to be around. It's just, even with the digital age, it's just evolved into like a new form. I think conversations around identity, I feel like you said, like they've kind of been more popular recently and are kind of continuing to grow. So I feel like, yeah, I think that'll probably be even more. Maybe I'll even be who knows, maybe even my ideas will just be considered. And I'm definitely not a scholar on like identity or anything like that, or like any particular identity, but yeah, maybe it'll even be considered like a bit too shallow or something for I don't know, for what will come. Yeah.
Well, like this is the thing. I would say if anyone goes, I'm a scholar on identity, it's a case of that's like, yeah, just like
Yeah, that's true.
it's like, yeah, just like
Right.
so like what did you study? Like it's like I studied identity. Okay, so what did you deem like what did you get from that? Oh yes, like there are many different identities. Yes, that's quite clearly obvious, but yeah, no, it doesn't
Yeah,
work.
yeah,
No, it doesn't work. Look, it's a
yeah,
case of like, yeah, working with your own identity and then
yeah,
basically seeing how that identity fits
Mhm.
within that community of whoever your peers are. That is like one thing, and like trying to learn, develop, and grow. That's where it comes from. What I always have a sort of problem with is, okay, if you've got your identity, but people try to either snuff it out, or they don't have, like, if there is a greater conversation what needs to be had, that conversation's never had, because yes, it's either goes to they consider it goes to one extreme, or you might be hurting someone's feelings. Like,
Right.
the whole point is, I would say in life, you've got to have sometimes hard and difficult conversations. And from those conversations, the good ideas come out of it and the bad ideas come out of it. The good ideas go on and flourish. The bad ideas go away and hopefully die. Like, some bad ideas flourish and you get extreme things will happen. But
Mhm.
if you don't have the conversations, if you don't sort of really sort of look at some of the hard things in life, where, like, how are we meant to develop and grow as a society? How are we meant to develop and grow as individuals? It is one of those things where I think, yeah, people need to sometimes sit down and really talk about it, like get into it and like see what happens, you know?
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think that's a great point about, and yeah, just in general for growing, like I said, like, how you learn is often through these difficult conversations or just topics that maybe no one really wants to dwell on too much because it gets, yeah, uncomfortable. Maybe it's, saying that me, like, and a lot of the book is, again, in learning these things, it was realizing that maybe what I had thought before wasn't exactly right, or like, that I could be wrong or like hurt others as well. A lot of it, I think, yeah, it does come, I don't know, yeah, from like kind of real, yeah, like, I don't know, like diminishing yourself in a way, or like stepping back in a way, and not, it's not always like as important as it is to, I guess, share your opinions and like share your stories. As I said, I think, like, you're not, that doesn't mean like your opinions are always like that informed, I would say, or maybe, yeah, you just aren't aware. And I know I definitely was not aware in a lot of ways. So, but then, yeah, that's how we just learn and grow from there. Like we can leave that state behind more. And then we don't need, I think, yeah, we don't need to get like, maybe even if it is uncomfortable, I guess there's no need to be like really upset about it or feel like defensive about it, but rather, yeah, we can go forward from there.
Yeah. And like, you know what, like with regards to sort of going forward, like, okay, like it's like, I know you, and I hate when people say this. So what, like, so what are you going to do kind of after university? Is it a case of, hey, you're like just going to pursue a job, or are you going to, like, you know what I mean? Like go, so, like take a more exotic path. Yeah.
Oh, that's an interesting way to put it. I think, yeah, you're right. This is a question that I've been thinking about a lot more, but still have yet to find like a great a great answer for. I think, I don't know, I was imagining, I mean, again, probably the more typical paths of like, yeah, either pursuing some job or another degree. But honestly, I wonder, like, yeah, I wonder if, I just don't know I don't know what, if I have something that's telling me to pursue an exotic path. Like I feel like writing this book was definitely something kind of exotic, but also not, I don't know. I guess like, since again, like I said, I'm like still writing all the time. Like I kind of saw it as almost an extension of that. So it wasn't like that different from what I had already known, I would say. So in terms of being exotic, I don't know. I think only time will tell if I'm not sure I actually have the risky, like adventurous spirit that I feel like I would probably motivate me to just go a path that no one has taken in a way, I guess, after. And I don't know. I mean, I feel like it would be really cool to, I mean, I enjoy traveling and like, again, like trying to experience or like see different parts of the world. I think that would be really, I think, maybe it would be really cool to live in a totally different, I guess, because the US is like you said, is pretty similar to Canada in a lot of ways. What would it be like to, yeah, move to a country that is like a 30-hour flight away kind of thing? Like I have had that thought of like, I don't know, even like teaching English in like in a foreign country kind of thing. Like I don't know, like maybe that would be, I feel like, really cool to like learn from that experience too, and just, yeah, see more of a different world, or different, yeah, just a different country or like a different place in some ways. But yeah, I don't know. That's, yeah.
Yeah, I think like if you're writing all the time, maybe you should start writing a blog. Like, you know what I mean? Like, dude, no, seriously. Like the whole thing is like you have this sort of need to get in, like to write things out, write things down, put it out there in the world. And I would say, like, if you're doing a blog, like you would you'd be able to do it every day. And look, it's something you enjoy doing, and you never know where it might take you. But it's like, I would say, yeah, keep that sort of like that spark going. Keep it like, who knows, it turns from a spark into a flame, and like, yeah, before you know it, yeah, an inferno which like propels you on to great and magnificent things. But like, you've started with the book, which is, let's just say, yeah, you're 99.9% better than a lot of people who have said, yes, I want to write a book at some point. Have you started? Soon. I will write a book sometime. Have you started? Soon. I will write a book sometime, you know? So,
That's true. Yeah, it's tough. I think, yeah, I'll say that as well. I feel like I definitely need a lot of like others, like it, apart from my own. I think, I mean, yeah, I might have the motivation, but I think for this book, it wouldn't have been enough without like essentially my publisher like pushing me with deadlines of like, oh, you need to write this thing, but like, I don't know, I definitely did need some prodding along the way. Otherwise, I think I probably might have just also become, oh, I have an idea, and yeah, soon later, maybe in another year. Like, you know, it's yeah, it definitely is like tough without a structure. And I will say that's my concern with like starting a blog as well, is that like I mentioned before, I feel like for me, I do need to be like feel inspired or like driven by, oh, something just happened and I really want to get this down, like kind of thing, rather than just, oh, like, oh, I need to write another article for today. What am I going to write about? Kind of, I feel like if it's that latter case, then I'm just would rather not write anything. Honestly, would rather not write anything. So I'm still trying to figure out my relationship with writing, because while I think it is super powerful and important and like my go-to medium for expressing myself, I think it kind of, yeah, it can be hard for me. Again, I guess like I was saying, like maybe it is like a fear of, or might be like a fear of, oh, it's not like that great or like perfect, or like if people read it, they're not going to like it kind of thing. I don't know. Maybe it is partly that, or maybe it's just me, yeah, getting my mind occupied with other things and then not having, yeah, that mental space plus like that spark to really start getting something forward. So I think I'll definitely, I don't know, I'll definitely consider it, but I can't really imagine myself being like a consistent content creator. And yeah, this is probably why I wouldn't want to be a YouTuber either. Like just constantly like, okay, now what am I gonna vlog? Or yeah, or I guess vlogs you can have like maybe day to day, but like, or yeah, now what am I gonna create this theme, or like, you know, have my brand kind of be about, like now what am I gonna make? I don't know. It sounds like they do need to do a lot of like thinking and like design for that. So yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, no, the only reason why I mentioned a blog, like rather than doing a vlog or anything
Right,
like
yeah.
that, yeah, Casey Neistat, if you listen to what, you know, Kate, you must know Casey Neistat. Like Casey Neistat? Yeah. Do you know him?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not super well, but yeah.
Yeah. Well, you see, there you go. Like basically he was the king of like vlogging on YouTube for like for a good 5 year period. And then like he like was like, yeah, I'm done. No more, no more, done. But when you hear like sort of podcasts of what he went through and like his mindset when he was doing that daily vlog, like 5 years every single day,
Yeah.
5 years. No, it was just like, okay, everything, every sort of aspect of his life was like going, okay, yeah, like, can I turn that into like, yeah, 2 minutes here? Can I turn that into 3 minutes here? And like, yeah, it's like the pressure was like off the chain. It was like, right. And when I say do a blog, it's a case of like, yeah, you can do it weekly, monthly.
Yeah, kind of up to you. Right.
Yeah. So it's like you don't have to have the pressure of, okay, I need to come up with something daily. No. If you're on that level, it's like, don't get me wrong, if you can pull it off, great. But let's just say, yeah, you got to be like, how can I say, like 2 shades away from crazy to like get that down, you know? So yeah, that pressure. Yeah. But yeah.
Yeah, that's a great point. I think, yeah, I agree with that. And definitely, yeah, I would not want to give myself that kind of pressure. I think otherwise, honestly, I mean, I think I've kind of realized that I think giving too much, I don't know, or at least for me, like too much pressure with these things that I kind of do because I enjoy them would kind of sap away a lot, I feel like, at the enjoyment, I suppose, like the passion aspect. I think for this book, I mean, yeah, part of it was like prodding from an external source, but it was also because I didn't give myself like that much pressure of like, oh, you know, this is like gonna, you know, this needs to be like a Pulitzer bestseller kind of thing, or like, you know, tons of people need to read it, like that kind of pressure. So I was just like, you know, I'm just gonna say that, like at the end of this, that I wrote a book, and then whatever happens with it is like, you know, whatever happens. And like I kind of wasn't imagining that, yeah, I guess I wasn't imagining that tons of people would read it or anything like that. So and because of that, I wasn't giving myself that much pressure to make it like, oh, this needs to be like the most perfect thing ever, or I don't know, like something like that, I guess. So it was definitely more of just a passion, like side thing, like, and I knew that I would just be happy with myself as soon as I had finished it and like was like pleased enough with the product that, yeah. So I think that definitely helped, instead of like like that example you gave of Casey, like too much pressure of like, oh, every day I need to like edit another word or like,
Yeah.
spend forever. Yeah, I mean, you could spend forever editing, honestly. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. No, like, yeah, indeed, indeed. Like, I'm curious, like, what what does success look like to you?
Hmm. Oh wow. um I guess, yeah, that's a really broad concept. And although even though it's really broad, it's, it's everywhere. Like people are trying to be like successful, but then yeah, it's like, what does that mean? I guess, when I was younger, I always thought it was just like, oh, I mean, people usually say it in a career sense, I would say. I feel like that, oh,
Yeah.
you have a successful career, or like you're successful in school, which means you're going to have a successful career. And I don't know. So again, like kind of in a meta sense, or just like sociologically, like realizing that there are these kinds of assumptions and structures is something that I'm still like learning.
Mm.
And I guess like for me, I don't know, I guess I would want to push past just career or like money or whatever it is, I guess, to I mean, I don't know, I guess it's like I kind of want to say that it is like happiness to me, but then like not entirely, right? Like trying to think of like what that like, definitely like, if I were successful, I would hope I am happy with like my life. Like, I think like in different arena, I think I would rather think in different arenas of my life. Like, oh yeah, there's maybe the career part, I hope I am like pursuing a professional or like have accomplished maybe a professional goal, but also, like I mentioned, like, just health wise, like, am I healthy and like able to like go outside comfortably? Am I, able like mental health wise as well,
Mhm.
for sure. And then what else? Just kind of, being able to pursue like other hobbies and interests, or just like, or, be able to sleep in everything. Like, I think, yeah, that's important too. Or yeah, so I guess like just all these different aspects, even like, I don't know, spiritually, or just, being content with like, I don't know, like, yeah, with how things are going. I guess that's, I don't know, it's my closest definition of success, of being like content with these different aspects of my life. But then like what those goals are would probably differ depending on like what it is. Like, the career goal I'm still figuring out for sure, for like what successful means there. And then what else? I mean, I guess like a lot of other, and then the other aspects, I think that's a lot more subjective. Like there's not as much like tangible, like, it's not like a position or something, or like anything like that. It could just be, yeah, mental sense of contentment, or I would say like resilience, like being able to, if there are challenges, like you have mentioned, there are lots of challenges in life, being able to, yeah, like have the courage to overcome those, or like, always still see, even if there are lots of horrible things going on, like, to see like the positives still. I think that's, I don't know, yeah, if I can have that attitude, then I think that is pretty successful.
Okay. Attitude. Yeah, because the reason why I asked that question is because look, okay, yeah, you are a published author, right? You've like basically you've created this book. And like, yeah, with regards to one of the things which I found interesting with your statement was you didn't mention the book once. You didn't actually like go, yeah, like basically you didn't go, yeah, selling 10 copies of my book, selling 100 copies of my book, like having on the Times bestseller. Like nothing was connected with that. It was like, yeah, you're kind of looking like more like you were more on the sort of broader, like broader branches of your future. You're looking, it's like you've done it and now you're looking past it. And so I was just curious why it was like, okay, like the book wasn't mentioned once. It was like, yeah, it wasn't like, yeah, have 10 people read my book. And that's like, yeah, leave 10 reviews. Like, yeah, it's the best book ever. Nothing came to you like that. It's like, yeah.
That's a good point. Again, I'm seeing all these different parts of myself. I guess it does kind of go back to me, like not putting too much pressure on myself, or like, I guess, expecting too much. I'm kind of almost afraid that, if I expect too much, I'll just be disappointed.
Mm.
And I guess I guess I kind of don't want to deal with that. But I mean, yeah, it'd be great. I feel like it definitely would be successful if I did sell, 10 copies or like got it, got great reviews or, I mean, Times bestseller. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know. I was not imagining, or, I wasn't really aiming for that when writing it. So I still don't want to aim for that now. But, of course, if it happens somehow, then of course, yeah, I would call that successful. But yeah, I guess I guess in a way, I feel like I have like done, well, I mean, yeah, it'll be like officially published very soon. So, once that's really out there, I'll be kind of, oh yeah, I'm kind of done. But like, it's like not, I don't know, I'm like not really done because I still want to like let some of my friends know, yeah, it's out here. But, and then, yeah, maybe I will get some reviews. But I think in terms of like moving past it, I guess in some ways, yeah, I guess I don't want to dwell on it forever kind of thing. Or like, I don't know, like it's still really important to me, but I kind of always did imagine it as like a side passion, like project rather than this is what I'm going to do, like, forever now.
Yeah. Outstanding. Because like this is the thing. Sometimes like there are two ways like success and goals are measured. There's the finite and the infinite, and each has their sort of benefits, but one like sometimes comes with the downside. Like if you are operating on a finite like basis, it's like, yeah, once you've conquered that goal or had that success, it's like, okay, you have to have something pretty damn quickly in the tank to motivate you to keep you going, because once you've achieved it, and it's like, oh,
yeah, that's true.
woe is me. Like, and if you are playing the infinite sort of game of things, it's like, yeah, okay, bam. It's not about hitting that one goal. It's like it just keeps going. So you've got like, it fuels you like continuously, and it shouldn't, like if you play it right, it shouldn't run out. So you've got some type of purpose goal to go for every damn day. And yeah, like from that, who knows where you can go? There isn't a limit. It's just about playing. If you enjoy the game, keep playing. Don't like, if you don't enjoy the game, you can walk away and play a new game. That's the thing,
Right. That's a great point too. And maybe that's kind of what I'm a bit concerned about, or like, I think I even heard this in like psychology that otherwise, like, I mean, goals are like important, but if it's all you focus on, then it's kind of just like, oh, you accomplished one thing and then it's like, yeah, you have that. But then like maybe that happiness maybe like dies out a bit. And then suddenly you're like, okay, what's the next thing? What's the next goal? Like, I think, I don't remember what it was, like the term in psychology, but something about how we're never really like satisfied, or like if we just, base our happiness or success on those tangible, like material, maybe like things, then yeah, we might just never be content because always trying to get the new thing. And I don't know. I think that is pretty very common. I would say like I think we are like, people in some ways are like, it's hard to please us, or like we are always like, I don't know, tend to demand more of ourselves or just of life in general maybe. But I don't know. So yeah, I do think it's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like that is still a concern of mine. Like, am I like, I don't know, pushing for too much sometimes, but then trying to remind myself that, it's just important to be grateful for what you have instead of always trying to chase after the whatever it is. Yeah. So, and I guess, yeah. So with this book, I think, at least in this literary arena, I don't think I'm chasing after anything, which I think, which I think is good. Like, yeah, I don't want to, yeah, again, be constantly like wanting, I don't know, yeah, constantly trying to achieve more. In that sense, it's like, yeah, I do want to always be growing, but it's, I don't know, it's like, yeah, I do want to always be growing and like learning, but then I don't know, I guess, yeah, I don't want to get too attached to that one goal, I suppose, is what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Interesting. Yeah, no, I hear you. So, now I have to ask. Now, let's put the book aside and studies and everything like this. Now, if there was three places in the world you could go to, where would those three places be?
Oh, wow. Just like right now, or just, regarding nothing else.
Right. Yeah.
Wow, that is okay. That's difficult for me just because I feel like, again, like I'm interested in traveling and want to visit so many places that I haven't been to. But if I were to narrow it down to three,
Not just three places. Where
yeah,
would you go?
three of them. Okay. I mean, I feel like one, I don't know, just something I had recently been thinking of what probably would be like Australia, because I've
Mhm.
never have never been there, but I think, I mean, again, that's kind of like, I guess it's kind of similar to, has like that Western culture, I suppose. But I think I would like to just, visit it to see what it's like. And like, I think it does have like, for example, the wildlife there apparently is it can be dangerous, or just, yeah, it's a lot. But yeah. And I don't know. I mean, I guess it would just be interesting to visit. Plus, like, it's like, I think I've realized, like, I've never actually been to the southern hemisphere, which is super weird to, kind of weird to think about for me. Like, I've never had like a huge time difference. Like, the seasons are somewhat flipped a bit, like that kind of thing. So maybe that's also part of it. And let's see. And I mean, yeah, it just seems really cool in general. And I think, um, although it'll probably be the longest flight ever, but I don't know, we'll see. And then apart from that, I mean, maybe like South Africa, or like any, or Rwanda, or like any like country like in Africa. I would say, just because, again, I've never really been there and I would want to like explore. And again, the southern hemisphere, I mean, it sounds like it might be a bit too hot there for my tastes in terms of temperature and like mosquitoes and stuff. I'm kind of concerned, but like, I think, meeting the people and like experiencing that, again, empathy is like important to, yeah, really see what's happening. And I mean, yeah. And then plus, like, I guess for South Africa, I kind of like have met some people from there who say things like, oh, we're swimming with like dolphins like on this weekend. So it sounds really interesting.
Okay, okay. Nice, nice.
And
So,
then yeah, probably the last, I guess, yeah, the southern hemisphere folks. I feel like, again, expanding my horizons, like probably I don't even know. I feel like I need to do more research, like somewhere in South America, maybe Peru, because it had I think this, okay, I actually, and I think I kind of mentioned this like in one part of my book. Like when I was little, I used to read like the Geronimo Stilton series, which I don't know if you've heard of, but it was just like a children's book series. And in one of them, like the kind of main characters were going to visit like those the Machu Picchu, I think it's called, in
okay.
yeah, in Peru. And there was this whole adventure that they had of like discovering lots of cool like ancient stuff, and like, again, like, solving a problem and kind of saving the world kind of thing that is kind of common in like children's books. It is that narrative, like you said, of like a challenge and then like you overcome it. um and yeah, I guess I think, yeah, I had like a physical copy of that book, and I always thought that was interesting. So yeah, maybe I'll visit those ruins and see some of that history.
Outstanding. Outstanding. Now, okay. Last.
But yeah, that's a lot. I mean, I guess like these countries that I just chose, like they're all kind of like, yeah, I guess you were saying like that adventurous wanting to learn spirit, because I'd never been there. But I feel like, they're also, vacation spots that I might like to visit, or just, places to chill. Or even, I have been to China, but I think I'd like to explore more of it to,
Mm.
again, cultural heritage. Yeah.
Well, like this is the whole thing. It was like three countries for you to choose where you can go to. Look, like Peru, Australia, South Africa, or like Maui or Rwanda, was it?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Now, like this is the thing. Like, yeah, like wherever the adventure takes you, that's where it takes you. And like, yeah, maybe sort of like, okay, maybe sort of come like devise a plan to maybe get you to one of these countries over the next few years, like when the world opens up a little bit more.
Yeah, whenever, I don't know when that will be, but
Yeah.
yeah.
But yeah, like I think you will have a good time, a fun time, and one hell of an experience. Who knows where it take you from there, you know? But
Yeah.
yeah, but yeah, I have to ask, like this most really be one, like I have to basically reveal something about myself. I've been keeping hidden to myself. I have to reveal that I'm a being of immense cosmic power and I can grant you one wish. Wait before you say a single word. Now, you can't have world peace because everyone asks for world peace. World peace, no, no, you can't have it. It takes too much and like, look, it takes a lot of time and energy. Don't have right now. You can't wish for COVID to go away. Look, like that is just like too much sort of cosmic dealings. Like, can't be doing it. Dolly Parton gets involved. Beyonce, no, can't do that. No,
Oh yeah.
that's like, yeah. Now, also, like, yeah, I'm not gonna say you seem like the sneaky type to like go, hey, I like to have
More.
infinite witches. No, you see,
Right. I mean, I
no,
think we all know like what that, yeah, what it is.
no,
Okay.
no, can't have that. Why do I have to deal with people like you with infinite wish? No, you can't have that.
Right. Okay.
I got just like no. I have to tell you this 3 times just for like yeah, no, and also yeah, the second sneaky like situation. Yeah, you can't write down everything on a piece of paper and go, I wish everything on this piece of paper comes true.
Oh, I
No,
actually I haven't heard of that one, but okay.
yeah, like, yeah, yeah.
You're like, yeah, you've heard it all. I see. I see.
Well, like been around the block once or twice.
Okay.
But yeah. So what would you wish for?
Oh my. I think, yeah, I think for me, that's even more difficult to answer than, of course, the indecision, than like the 3 places to travel. Because, yeah, I'm like, oh my gosh, yeah, what could I? Because I feel like you said, there's probably like the selfless answer of like world peace kind of thing, or, which is too much. Yeah. Okay. Well, I mean, I feel like there's like another selfless answer of just like wishing that things are going to go well for my family in general, or like my close loved ones. But I guess that might also be a bit too broad, I feel like, because I don't know, what does that mean? I don't know, because I feel like all the wishes I'm thinking are a bit broad, because in terms of, if it was like a thing that I don't think there's like a specific, I don't think there's like a specific object that I have in mind of like what I would want. I don't know. And I'm guessing it can't be some sneaky thing like, oh, some magical power that now I can grant myself more with, I imagine that's not a thing. But
you see this,
yeah, because
you see people, this is the reason why they're this. No, like, no.
no. Yeah, so yeah, there's no like specific object I think I would want. I feel like it is more of like, if I like just like oh, maybe that I can decide on like what to do for my future, and like it'll all like work out. But yeah, maybe that's a bit broad. I don't know. But honestly is like what I would want, because right now that is kind of like my main conflict of, yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. Am I gonna, like not, I don't know, struggle with finances in the future? I don't know. But I guess. Okay. I guess in terms of something material and like selfish enough to like not be in the bounds of super broad stuff. I guess probably I would. I don't know. This is like, because I kind of don't, I don't really, I don't know. I want to say I don't really care for money, but it's also like needed. So I guess without all these other very broad, like, oh, I just want everyone to like be healthy and happy kind of thing. I guess probably, yeah, some X amount of like money, which I think is one of the basic wishes. But for me, it would be more so I can like try to like, save up and like just know that no matter what, I can buy myself like a house or like go, I don't know, wherever, kind of thing, because I'm kind of worried about just finances and everything. And then that I think could actually make my like, you know, having a reservoir of money stored away could actually make my choices about like what I would want to do a bit easier, because I feel like the cause areas I'm interested in aren't necessarily the most I guess, what is it called? Like remunerative, or just in terms of like money. But, you know, it's like kind of something I would probably be more wanting to do. So yeah, some X amount of money that I could use to, I don't know, donate to something, or like just, you know, have on hand so I know I can at least like live comfortably enough no matter what, kind of thing.
X amount of money. Is there a specific tag on that X amount? 2 million, 5, 50, 60 million?
I guess something like this.
Billion, 100
Again,
billion?
this is like the indecision. Like, I don't know what amount, like what one number I should choose that's gonna be the end all be all kind of thing. But I mean, I feel like, you know, you can't get too far. Like, you can't be like, you know, with 7,000 trillion, you know, kind of thing, which is also like unimaginable for me. But
Now, put it this way, like there was a young lady. She was, I believe, 18. She must have just been old enough. I don't know the exact age for like some type of Powerball lottery. Like she won this prize. It wasn't like, yes, squillions and squillions and squillions and squillions of dollars. But she won a prize where it was like, yeah, she gets $50,000 each and every month. Was it each and every? No, sorry, $50,000 each and every year for the rest of her life. And it was just like, yeah. Now, I don't know about you, but like $50,000, you gotta go. It's a sizable amount of money, but yeah, but it's an amount of money where if she wanted to, she could just live off the 50,000 and live well within her means, or if she wanted to do anything, it just basically gives back her time. So it's like, yeah, she can like go, right, I take care of my mortgage. I can, like, if she wants to take out a mortgage, if she wants to like supplement her income, she can work like doing a job where she wants to do, like a like fun little job, but it gave her time back. And but it was a case of she still had to push for like things if she wanted to. But yeah, it was a nice amount, but not a crazy amount.
okay, yeah, that's a great story, great point. I think, yeah, that's kind of like the logic or whatever the reasoning that I had behind it. Because I feel like when I don't know, when I was younger, like the stories of like, you know, Aladdin and stuff, like, you know, the typical money, you know, anyone who was kind of interested in, oh, I just want $100 million was like a greedy villain kind of thing. And I guess that always did deter me away a little bit from like that base kind of quote basic answer. But yeah, now that I am like older and like realizing, yeah, like mortgages are like a concern, and like you definitely, like, no matter what, like, you know, just to survive, like if you want to do anything, like if you want to travel to Peru or something, like you do need like the requisite like resources, like the money that buys those resources to do all of that. So I think, yeah, you're right. It does give you some time back for you to choose what to do. And yeah, it doesn't have to be like financing a greedy, like corrupt thing. I don't know. Yeah.
Tell you what, with your wish, like I am gonna take a little bit of control on this. Like I will grant a wish of just economic stability, so you like have your time back to do what you choose to do. Like, but not to be like, yeah, a mega wealthy, but it'll just like, yeah, you'll be able to do what you want to do. So if that means live a life of travel, you live a life of travel. If that means live a life of corporate business, you live a life of corporate business. If it's a life of being like just having a family, you can live that life too. But if you want to go artsy, you can be artsy. That's right. I'll grant that wish for you.
Oh wow. Thank you.
It will take you a little bit of time to get down the pipeline, but yes. But yeah, yeah. Now, I have to say, hey, Teresa, you have been an outstanding guest today. Thank you very much for your time. Yeah.
Yeah.
No worries. Can you tell the lovely people out there how they can find you out on the interwebs?
Right. So I think once my book is out, like on Amazon and like Kobo and Ingram, that'll, I think that should, I think if you type Beyond the Surface, like empathy, identity, and storytelling, that'll be like a way to find that. I think for me, to be honest, I'm not a big social media person. And that is part of why that would not have been my first thought of like, oh, that's how I'm going to get my story out there. I don't know. I feel like it is, yeah, there are like lots of pros and cons, is all I'm going to say. But I think, yeah, I mean, I do have an Instagram account called, oh my gosh, I recently created it. So it's like I think it's Beyond the Surface underscore Teresa Xu or like actually I'm pretty sure Beyond the Surface is first. But yes, I have an Instagram for like the book, and then you can, if you have questions or anything, feel free to let me know. But yeah, I think that would be a good way. I have like LinkedIn, but I don't know if people if people want to connect there. But yeah, I think those are probably the best ways to reach me. And I think I'll have like a website trying to get it up as well.
Mhm.
But yeah, I think that'll also probably be added to the Instagram. But yeah, I mean, thank you so much, Muyua, for inviting me onto this wonderful show. Like, it's been definitely a privilege and a pleasure to, just talk to you and get to know you as well.
The pleasure's all mine. I am honored. I am honored. Yes. Thank you, Teresa. And hey, you, my friends, my life warriors out there, I'd like to say thank you for sticking with us, staying with us up until this point. You have been wonderful. Teresa's been wonderful. Everyone has been wonderful. So please stay safe, stay well, be awesome, be excellent, be fantastic, be all the positive bees you can be in this world, and then some. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Peace, guys. Have a great one. Bye-bye. And we are.